This is it. The moment that no one in hip-hop thought they would live to see. The streets are buzzing. Social media is on fire. And the headlines are louder than ever because Jim Jones has just been taken down by the FBI, and the words coming from federal investigators. Unbelievable. They're calling him nothing less than a top criminal, a label so shocking that even his closest allies are stunned into silence. But silence is not what Chrissy Lampkin chose. No, tonight, Chrissy finally broke down and spoke out, and what she said might change everything you thought you knew about Jim Jones, about Harlem, and about the empire he helped build. Imagine this, one of Harlem's most celebrated icons. A man who helped define an entire era of New York hip-hop, now being paraded as one of the FBI's most wanted, and his longtime partner Chrissy, the woman who has stood by his side through decades of drama, has just unleashed a statement that is as emotional as it is dangerous. She's not just crying, she's not just defending him. She's dropping revelations that insiders are calling the real story behind the arrest. But the question is, will her words save Jim Jones from this label of top criminal? Or will they bury him even deeper in a storm that not even Dipset can escape from? Stay locked in, because the twists you're about to hear will leave you speechless. It started like a whisper that no one wanted to believe. It's a kind of rumor you hear late at night scrolling through your phone and think, nah, this can't be real. But then the headlines hit. The FBI documents surfaced, and suddenly the hip-hop world was frozen in shock. Jim Jones, Harlem's own Dipset's backbone, Chrissy Lampkin's Ride or Die, it's been snatched up in what authorities are calling one of the most shocking criminal sweeps of the decade. But it wasn't just the arrest that sent the culture into chaos. It was what the FBI called him. Not just a suspect, not just a participant, okay? They labeled him a top criminal, a phrase that instantly went viral, burned into the feeds of millions, and forever changed the way people saw Jim Jones. The arrest itself was cinematic, like something straight out of a gangster film. Witnesses say unmarked vans pulled up outside a Harlem studio. Black SUVs boxed in the block, and within minutes, agents swarmed the building. Phones captured the moment Jim was let out in handcuffs, his head low, his chains glinting in the flashing lights of cameras. You can hear people screaming in the background, some shouting his name in disbelief, others yelling curses at the FBI. The footage spread faster than wildfire. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, every platform was consumed with this same shocking clip. Harlem's pride was being dragged away in broad daylight. The world couldn't look away. But the arrest was only the spark. The real explosion came when Chrissy Lampkin, the woman who has been by Jim's side through years of love, loyalty, fights, and scandals, finally broke her silence. Her voice shook, her eyes glistened with tears. And in a trembling statement, she said, "They're trying to paint him as a monster. But the man I know isn't what they're saying. This is bigger than Jim. This is bigger than Harlem." Words hit harder than any press release. Chrissy wasn't just defending Jim, she was hinting that there was more to this story than anyone could imagine. And that's when the theories started to spiral. According to the FBI's documents, Jim's name appeared in connection with an ongoing federal investigation into a sprawling criminal network. The details were vague, redacted, designed to conceal as much as they revealed. But the words organized crime, racketeering, and federal surveillance were right there in black and white. And when fans saw high-ranking target and top criminal in the description, the internet detonated. Clips of Jim's old lyrics resurfaced, dissected like prophecy. Lines about hustling, surviving the streets, and moving product were suddenly treated like confessions. Fans posting side-by-side comparisons, his bars versus the FBI's words. One viral tweet read, "Jim Jones been telling us the truth in his music all along, and now the feds just proved it." Meanwhile, Dipset fans were divided. Some screamed it was a setup, that the FBI had been targeting Jim for years, waiting for the perfect moment to destroy him. Others admitted that maybe just maybe, the rumors that had circled Jim for decades weren't just rumors after all. But it was Chrissy's raw, emotional reaction that turned this from just another celebrity arrest into a cultural earthquake. She went live on Instagram hours after the arrest, her face puffy from crying, her voice barely steady. "They think they can break him," she said, staring directly into the camera, "but they don't know us. They don't know what we've survived together." The comment section exploded instantly. Fans spammed heart emojis. Others begged her to tell the truth, and haters flooded in with accusations. But then she dropped a sentence that made jaws drop across the internet. "If I told you what I know, none of y'all would sleep tonight." That was it. The internet stopped breathing. What did Chrissy know? Was there a darker truth behind the arrest? Was Jim caught up in something too big for even Dipset to control? Theories went into overdrive. One alleged insider claimed Chrissy had been aware of federal surveillance for months, but kept quiet to protect Jim. Another swore that private text messages between Chrissy and a confidant hinted she knew the arrest was coming. Screenshots of blurred-out messages began circulating online, showing phrases like, "The feds are closing in and it's worse than anyone thinks." Whether they were real or fabricated didn't matter. The internet treated them like gospel. Meanwhile, footage of Jim inside the courtroom surfaced. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but someone leaked grainy clips from a phone. You could see him sitting at the defense table, his head bowed, lips pressed together, tears glistening under harsh fluorescent lights. The clip was short, but it was enough to spark another viral hashtag. Hashtag Jim in tears. Fans couldn't believe the image of Harlem's capo, the man who built his reputation on toughness, reduced to tears in federal custody. And just when the dust threatened to settle, Cameron jumped in. Never one to stay quiet, Cam posted a cryptic Instagram story with the words, "They finally caught up to him. Told y'all this day would come." That one sentence turned the scandal into a Harlem civil war. Was Cam celebrating Jim's downfall? Was he hinting he knew more than anyone else? Fans tore into him, some accusing him of betrayal, others praising him for keeping it real. But Chrissy wasn't having it. Hours later, she fired back with a furious comment under one of Cam's old photos. "This ain't the time for you to run your mouth. If you know so much, tell the whole truth." That one comment lit the internet on fire. Suddenly, people weren't just talking about Jim's arrest. They were demanding to know what Cam knew, what Chrissy meant, and what secrets were being buried under Harlem's shiny exterior. The FBI, meanwhile, doubled down. In a shocking press conference, an official stood before cameras and declared, "This is not about music. This is about crime." Jim Jones has been under investigation for years, and the evidence is clear. He is a top player in this network. That phrase, "top player," became the headline of every blog, every news article, every gossip site, and through it all, Chrissy's silence grew more powerful. She had already hinted she knew more, already dropped emotional bombs that shook the culture. But now fans were waiting on her every word. Every post, every appearance, every move was dissected for clues. Was she protecting Jim? Was she protecting herself? Or was she preparing to drop the one revelation that could blow this entire case wide open? Because rumors were already swirling of a sealed testimony, whispers of wiretaps, and even darker allegations that could drag other big names into the scandal. And the streets were saying Chrissy knew exactly what the feds had and was holding it back by the end of the week. Harlem wasn't just buzzing, it was boiling. People crowded barbershops, clubs, even corner bodegas arguing about the case, screaming about Chrissy's cryptic words, replaying Jim's tearful courtroom moment. And all of it pointed to one inevitable conclusion. If Chrissy decided to fully break her silence, the truth she dropped could either save Jim Jones' life or bury him forever. And just when fans thought the storm couldn't get any darker, Another anonymous post surfaced online, a post that claimed the FBI had more than just Jim's name on file. Allegedly, there were other names, and at the very top of that list was someone Harlem never expected. The cliffhanger was here. The world was on edge. And part 2 would finally reveal whose name was tied to Jim's downfall. The whispers became screams overnight. Just when people thought Jim Jones' arrest was the peak of this nightmare, a shocking leak ripped the internet wide open. Screenshots of what appeared to be internal FBI files began circulating across Twitter. The documents listed not just Jim Jones, but other names. Big names. And one of those names had people's jaws on the floor. Chrissy Lampkin. At first, nobody wanted to believe it. This was Chrissy, the woman who stood by Jim through love and hip hop drama, the woman who built her reputation on loyalty and resilience. But the documents showed a section labeled Known Associates with Chrissy's name sitting right there alongside several Harlem figures the internet instantly recognized. Next to her name were chilling phrases: possible witness, financial ties, and under observation. Twitter exploded. Hashtags like #ChrissyInvolved, #FBI leaks, and #Harlem Secrets started trending within minutes. One viral tweet read, "Wait, not Chrissy too? If she's tied to this, Harlem's whole royalty just fell apart." Another said, "Y'all, this explains why she's been so emotional. Maybe she knows the Fed's already watching her too." The reaction wasn't just online. Within hours, multiple blogs published exclusive insider takes, claiming Chrissy had been secretly meeting with lawyers even before Jim's arrest. One gossip outlet posted grainy paparazzi photos of Chrissy walking into a Manhattan law office weeks ago. At the time, nobody thought much of it, but now, those pictures were being treated as proof that she knew the storm was coming. The scandal reached fever pitch when the Shade Room reposted an alleged DM from someone claiming to be close to Chrissy. The message read, "She's not just crying for Jim, she's crying because she knows what the Feds got, and it ain't just about him." That one leak sent fans spiraling. Was Chrissy involved? Or was she caught in the middle of something so big that her own freedom was at stake? Meanwhile, Jim's court appearance took another dramatic turn. This time, reports say he refused to look at Chrissy in the gallery. According to insiders, Jim kept his eyes fixed on the judge, refusing to meet Chrissy's gaze, even as she broke down in tears on the benches. Social media immediately jumped on this detail, with fans speculating Jim might believe Chrissy had betrayed him. And then came the bombshell. An anonymous Reddit post claimed the FBI had wiretap recordings of conversations between Jim and a female partner. The post didn't name Chrissy outright, but the insinuation was crystal clear. People began connecting dots, suggesting Chrissy herself might have been recorded on those calls. The rumor was too explosive to ignore. Within hours, YouTube channels popped up dissecting every word Chrissy had ever said on Love and Hip Hop, claiming her loyalty was an act, that she was secretly entangled in the very world Jim was being accused of running. Dipset loyalists weren't staying quiet either. Harlem streets buzzed with conversations louder than the music blasting from the corner bodegas. Old heads shook their heads, saying the Feds had been plotting this for years. Young fans debated fiercely, some saying Chrissy was innocent, others swearing she had to know something. Barbershops became war zones, with people screaming over one another about whether Chrissy was the queen protecting her king, or the queen who set him up. But then Cameron added gasoline to the fire. After his cryptic Instagram post days, earlier he returned with another bombshell. In a late-night live session, Cam said, "Y'all think this just about Jim? Nah, this bigger. It's about everybody who played in them streets. They wasn't listening when I warned M, and now look." The internet lost its mind. Fans clipped Cam's words, replaying them endlessly. Was he implicating Chrissy? Was he admitting he knew Jim's empire wasn't just music? People begged Cam to say more, but of course, he logged off just as quickly as he logged on, leaving Harlem in chaos. Meanwhile, Chrissy herself was spiraling. Another emotional live hit Instagram, and this time it was darker than before. Her voice cracked as she stared into the camera, saying, "They want to make me the villain, but I'm not the one pulling the strings. If you only knew who really behind this, you wouldn't even be saying my name." Fans froze. Who was she talking about? Was she deflecting blame? Or was she really hinting that someone else, someone bigger, was pulling the strings? Immediately, theories erupted. Some said she was referring to Cam. Others whispered it could be another Dipset member. Or even someone outside Harlem entirely. But the scariest theory came from a so-called law enforcement leak that claimed Jim wasn't the top target, he was just the bait. The real investigation, according to this source, was aimed at an even larger figure in New York's underground, and the FBI was using Jim to flush them out. That revelation flipped the narrative upside down. If Jim wasn't the main player, then why call him a top criminal? Was it misdirection? Or was the FBI deliberately using sensational language to rattle the Harlem community and force people to turn on one another? Whatever the case, Chrissy's cryptic words about who really behind this seemed to fit perfectly with the idea that someone else was pulling the strings. The streets weren't just buzzing anymore, they were boiling. Videos surfaced of fans outside the courthouse chanting for Jim's release. Some holding up posters with his face on them, others screaming at federal agents. Tensions were high, and insiders whispered that the feds were already preparing for potential street violence if things got worse, and then came the most disturbing leak yet. A short audio clip allegedly pulled from one of the FBI's wiretaps began circulating online. In it, a man's voice that sounded eerily like Jim's can be heard saying, "She knows what it is. Don't play dumb now." The female voice is harder to make out, muffled, but fans swore it sounded like Chrissy. The clip ended abruptly, but the damage was done. The internet treated it like gospel, proof that Chrissy was entangled in Jim's alleged empire. But was it really Chrissy's voice? No one could confirm, but the doubt was enough. Blogs went wild with headlines like "Chrissy exposed on FBI tapes" and "Did she betray Jim?" The narrative was shifting rapidly, painting her as less of a grieving partner and more of a central player in the scandal. Yet through it all, Chrissy didn't back down. Hours after the audio surfaced, she posted a single chilling line on Instagram. "Y'all gonna regret coming for me?" Fans went insane. Some saw it as a threat, others as a promise, and many wondered if she was preparing to drop a revelation that could shake the case to its core by the end of the week. Harlem wasn't just divided, it was fractured. Old alliances crumbled, social media wars raged, and the looming question kept getting louder. If Jim wasn't the ultimate target, then who was? And was Chrissy sitting on the truth the whole time? Because just as the internet reached its boiling point, another sealed document leaked online. And this one contained a name nobody ever expected to see tied to Jim Jones' downfall. A name that promised to drag this scandal beyond Harlem and straight into the heart of the hip-hop industry. The internet was already in flames. But the final leak didn't just pour gasoline on the fire, it dropped a bomb straight into the middle of Harlem. Late one night, while Twitter was still dissecting Chrissy's chilling "regret coming for me" post, a brand new set of screenshots hit. Discord groups, Telegram channels, and shady forums. This time, it wasn't just names of associates. It was a sealed list of financial transfers. And at the top of that list was a name nobody expected. Cam single quotes Ron. Yes, Cameron. The same Cameron who had been throwing cryptic shade on Instagram. The same Dipset leader who had positioned himself as a man above the drama. The documents appeared to show multiple six-figure wire transfers between businesses tied to Jim and shell companies linked directly to Cam. Within minutes, #Cameroon Exposed was trending. One viral tweet screamed, "Wait, Cam was pointing fingers while hiding his OWN dirt. Harlem's falling apart in real time." Another fan posted a montage of Cam's past interviews, captioned, "He been hiding in plain sight." The streets. New, the revelation split the entire culture in two. For decades, Dipset had been untouchable, Harlem royalty. Now, with Jim behind bars, Chrissy accused of betrayal, and Cam allegedly tied to the very empire under federal scrutiny. Fans began asking the unthinkable. Was Dipset nothing more than a criminal machine wrapped in rap glory? Chrissy wasted no time capitalizing on the chaos. Hours after the Cam leak surfaced, she went live again, tears glistening, but her voice steadier than before. She stared into the camera, almost daring the world to judge her, and said, "See? I told y'all, it ain't me, it's bigger. And if y'all think I'ma stay silent while my name get dragged, you're wrong. Do you want the truth? Watch who they take down next." The comments exploded instantly. Viewers spammed questions begging her to clarify, was she saying Cam was the true target? Was she admitting she'd been cooperating with the feds the whole time? Or was this just another attempt to deflect blame? Her live ended abruptly, cutting the feed mid-sentence, which only fueled more paranoia. Meanwhile, Jim Jones faced his most brutal court session yet. Reporters inside claimed the prosecution dropped hints about further arrests pending. Words that sent shockwaves through the gallery. Jim reportedly clenched his fists so hard, his knuckles turned white, his jaw locked in rage. Outside the courthouse, fans screamed his name. But Jim's eyes betrayed something darker. Not just fear, but betrayal. And here's where things got even wilder. TMZ claimed to have obtained exclusive footage from inside the jail where Jim was being held. The grainy clip showed Jim pacing his cell, slamming his hands against the bars, yelling, "Y'all set me up. I know who it was." Though the video was only a few seconds long, fans swore they heard him mutter a name before the clip cut off. Conspiracy threads dissected the audio, some insisting he said Cam, others saying he whispered Chrissy. Either way, the implication was devastating. Jim believed someone close had sold him out. The fallout didn't stop there. Celebrities began chiming in, unable to resist the storm. 50 Cent, never one to miss a chance for chaos, posted a meme, showing Chrissy with a caption, "She crying but still counting." He followed it with another post mocking Cam, writing, "Told y'all Dipset wasn't built like that." The comments section blew up with laughter, outrage, and disbelief. Remy Ma, who had been silent until now, added fuel with her own cryptic tweet, "Funny how loyalty always the first thing to go missing when the feds show up." Fans immediately tagged Chrissy, interpreting the jab as aimed directly at her. But perhaps the most shocking reaction came from an unlikely voice, Fat Joe, on Instagram Live. He told fans, "This ain't no little street case. It's the kind of thing that changes hip-hop forever. The feds don't come like this unless they trying to make an example. And they gonna take everybody with them." His words landed like a prophecy, leaving fans convinced that Harlem was on the brink of collapse. And collapse, it seemed, was already in motion. Reports surfaced of Harlem locals distancing themselves from Dipset. Some longtime associates went on record claiming they never had ties with Jim or Cam, even though old photos showed otherwise. Businesses once connected to Chrissy and Jim suddenly shut their doors with rumors that the owners feared federal raids. Harlem wasn't just buzzing, it was unraveling. Then came the alleged insider leak that broke everything open. A supposed federal informant posted anonymously online, claiming Chrissy had been in contact with investigators for months. According to the leak, she had provided personal financial details that allegedly linked Jim's empire to other players, including Cam. If true, it meant Chrissy wasn't just caught in the crossfire. She was actively fueling the case. The internet went nuclear. Fans dragged Chrissy mercilessly, calling her a snitch, a traitor, even a federal agent in disguise. Memes flooded Instagram, portraying her in FBI jackets, sitting across from agents with stacks of paperwork. Yet others defended her, arguing she was just protecting herself and refusing to go down with Jim. One viral comment summed it up: "When the ship's sinking, don't expect everyone to drown. Some people gone swim." But the real nightmare struck when Cam himself finally responded. Instead of denying the leaks, Cam posted a chilling video to his Instagram story. Sitting in his car, wearing dark shades, he said only 5 words: "This ain't over. Trust me." And then he cut the feed. The ambiguity was terrifying. Was Cam planning retaliation? Was he warning Chrissy, the feds, or even Jim? The silence that followed only made things worse. Harlem streets grew tense, with whispers of potential violence. Even NYPD reportedly increased patrols in certain neighborhoods, bracing for possible retaliation. Meanwhile, Jim's lawyers doubled down, insisting their client was innocent and that the government's so-called evidence was fabricated. But fans weren't buying it. The leaked transfers, the audio tapes, the informant rumors. It was too much. Jim's empire looked cracked beyond repair, and the loyalty he once commanded seemed to evaporate overnight. And then the ultimate twist. Just as the internet prepared to crown Chrissy the ultimate betrayer, another anonymous leak emerged. This one claimed the FBI's true target wasn't Jim. It wasn't Chrissy. It wasn't even Cam. It was someone bigger, a name still hidden behind sealed indictments. A figure with connections that stretched beyond Harlem and deep into the entire hip-hop industry. That revelation sent fans spiraling all over again. Who could it be? A mogul? A rival? Someone nobody ever suspected? Theories flooded every corner of social media, some saying it was an East Coast legend, others whispering it was a powerful executive. But one thing became clear: Jim was only the beginning. Chrissy's tears, Cam's threats, the Harlem fractures, all of it was just the opening act. The real story hadn't even started yet. Because if the rumors were true, the name about to be unsealed wouldn't just shake Harlem. It would shake the entire hip-hop world to its very core. And when that name drops, nothing, not Dipset, not Chrissy, not even hip-hop itself, will ever be the same again. And there you have it, the chaos, the betrayals, the leaks, the tears, the silence, and the threats. Chrissy breaking down on live, Jim screaming behind bars, Kamran caught in the crossfire, and Harlem itself on the verge of collapse. But don't get it twisted. This isn't the end. No, this is only the beginning, because the feds don't play small games. And the whispers we're hearing suggest that the real bombshell name, the one hiding in those sealed indictments, hasn't even been dropped yet. So here's the question. Who do you think is the ultimate target? Is it a mogul? An East Coast icon? Someone pulling strings behind the curtain of the entire industry? I want you to flood the comments right now with your theories. Don't just watch this, be part of it. Because when that name gets unsealed, we'll be right here breaking it down. And you'll want to say you knew it before anyone else. If you think this story was wild, just wait for what's next. Like this video, hit subscribe, and turn those notifications all the way on. Because the second the truth hits, we'll drop it here first. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss the fallout. This isn't just hip-hop history being written, this is hip-hop being rewritten. And you're front row for every second of it. Stay locked in, because the next twist is coming sooner than you think.